Hey students, in this video I'm going to go over the 7.5 notes, which is trapezoids, and I'm going to go over a couple of things. I'll try to make the video short, but it's very informational for those of you who do watch it through. I'm going to go over the non-isosceles and isosceles trapezoids and also the mid-segment of a trapezoid. So the relationships that you have in this trapezoids is that, first of all, you have a set of parallel lines. So that's why these symbols are there. And then in the isosceles trapezoid, which you've seen since you were younger, you have two sides that are equal. These two sides create a lot of relationships between the trapezoids. So for example, it creates two base angles right here that are congruent. So that's that statement right there. And then the non-parallel sides are congruent, which is what I highlighted right there. And then we also create opposite angles supplementary, so these two. And then we have the diagonals. So diagonals are congruent as well. So these four relationships happen when you have an isosceles trapezoid. When you have a non-isosceles trapezoid, this is pretty much gone and out of the window. And the only thing you can relate here is that these two right here are supplementary. So consecutive angles are supplementary, which means that these other two are also supplementary because they're consecutive angles. So all these relationships is what you need to apply on the practice problems below. In class, I only went over some of these, so I'll just review those as well here. Number one, we talked about how angle K, the measure of angle K, can be identified by realizing that this is not an isosceles trapezoid, which means that these two are going to be the supplementary angles. So 180 minus 51 results in your answer for this. So I believe that's 129 degrees. So 129. Then you have measure of angle K, which is, measure of angle M, which is over here. And then once again, these two are supplementary. So you will do 180 minus 87, which results in 93 degrees as your answer. All right, so now let's try the next example. They're asking you to solve for x, and they're giving you these two angles. And we once again apply that this is not an isosceles trapezoid, which means that these two add up to 180. So 54 plus 8x plus 6 equals 180. 54 and 6 are on the same side of the equal sign, so we're going to combine those as like terms. So 8x plus 60 equals 180. And then you subtract the 60, and you get 8x equals 120. This divides by 8, and x equals 15. So that answers the question. It's asking you to solve for x. Number 4 is similar to this, but number 4 is asking you to find the measure of angle R. So it's like if they're asking you here to find the measure of this angle, which means that you're just going to substitute the value you found into your x and solve for the angle. All right, number 5. 5 and 6 are asking you to apply the relationships of the isosceles trapezoid. So DG is congruent to, and we're going to say EF. Then you have DF, which is the inside the diagonal, is congruent to, and we're going to say GE. On this side, we're talking about angles. So we have angle T is congruent to angle U. So this creates a congruency right here. And let me show you why. We talked about how opposite angles are supplementary. And we also talked about how base angles are going to be congruent. So if these two angles are congruent and they're right across this angle, whatever this angle is, it's going to be also over here because these are congruent. So that means angle T and angle U are congruent, and angle V and angle W are congruent. All right, let's try this application here, angle Q. So if this is angle P and angle Q, they're both at the top, these will be equal. And then angle R and angle S, These are the base angles, and they will be equal. However, keeping in mind that these two are supplementary. So if this is 112, we're going to just do 180 minus 112, and that's going to leave you with 68. And therefore, the other one will also be 68. So number 8 is very similar to this question. We'll just skip it for now. Number 9 is, now all of these on this page are practice problems of the application using algebra. So I'll go over just how to set it up and how to solve it. That way you can do the math behind it. But number 9 is telling you it's an isosceles triangle. So as soon as you see that it's telling you isosceles, you're going to mark these as equal. And then the information given is that MP is 16x minus 3, and then NO, which is the same, is 9x plus 8. So right away you know that these are congruent, and you're going to write 16x minus 13 equals 9x plus 8. And then you do the math to solve for x. Then they're going to tell you Pn, which is this part, is 5y plus 19, and then it's MO, which is this part, 12y minus 37. So the diagonals once again are congruent to each other, so you're going to write 5y plus 19 equals 12y minus 37. And you do the math to solve for y. So pause the video if you want to do the math, and then check your work. And I believe the answers that you get will be 3 and 8. All right, so for number 10, once again, they say, it says isosceles trapezoids, so we know these are equal, which creates equal angles right here. So we're going to start by setting that up. And then you do the math to solve for x. So here, pause the video if you want to do the work, and then just press play when you're ready to continue. After doing all this, your answer should be x equals 13. Which will then ask you to substitute the value in here. And then that will result in this angle, which equals this angle. And then just once again, remember that these two angles are supplementary. So you could do the math from there and find these answers. Okay, pause the video if you want to do that work. The answers you should have gotten were 127, 127 on both of these, and then 53 and 53 on both of these. Okay, number 11, it's asking for an isosceles trapezoid. So once again, these are equal. And we know that opposite angles are supplementary. And we know that these are equal to each other. So what do we know about these two? Well, we know according to the relationship that this angle is the same as that angle. So these two must also be supplementary. Okay, and then that means we're just going to write 4x plus 17 plus 10x minus 33 equals 180. And then you combine like terms and solve for x. So for this one, the answer for the x will be 14. And then each angle, you'll plug it in and then just solve for the missing value. Number 12, this is the supplementary angles that we've been highlighting over and over and over. So those once again will also be written as adding the two expressions and equaling them to 180. So for that one, the answer for your x will be 11. And then you just substitute and find the values to find those angles. So it's just very similar to this. The next one, you have these two at the top, which we said those were congruent. So you will have them equal to each other and then solve for x. And then number 14, we have the opposite angles of each other. So this is where, once again, you will add to 180, equal 180, and then you solve for x. I'm just speeding it up just because of the practice and I don't want the video to be too long. But here's the next part of trapezoids, which is the mid-segment. So on your notes, you needed to write this down. And that's just showing the relationship that there is between the mid segment that is created by the midpoints of the sides of a trapezoid. And the relationship it has is that it's the two bases, the one at the top and the one at the bottom, need to be added. So you will be adding the two bases and then dividing them by 2, and that will equal your mid segment. So we're going to be following this formula, and just to write it down, what it means is mid segment equals the sum of two bases divided by 2. Okay, so let's practice that. We have number 1, which tells you AB is 14, DC is 26. If you're visual like me, you will want to sketch it. So 14 over here and 26 right here, and then this is what we don't know. So because we don't know the mid-segment, we want to write it down as EF equals 14 plus 26 divided by 2. And that will give you 40 divided by 2, which equals 2. The next part, you want to just kind of sketch what you have here. EF is the middle part, so that's 22. And then DC is 38. And they want you to find AB. So that part is the top base, which in this case, following the formula, we have the mid segment, which is 22, equals the two bases, AB and 38, added, and then divided by 2. So with this, we need to reverse the process. Instead of dividing by 2, we're going to multiply times 2. And then that will cancel, and we're going to be left with 44 equals AB plus 38. So AB is what they want you to find. And that's just you asking yourself, what number plus 38 equals 44? Or 44 minus 38 equals what? So AB will equal 6. On the next problem, I'm skipping 2 and 4 because they're practice problems just like number 1 and 2. So if you want to try those, you can. Let me pause the video, or pause the video if you want to try those, and then first play whenever you want to check. So for this one, you should have gotten 19. And for this one, you should have gotten 53. All right, number 5 is asking you now with algebraic expressions to find these, the value of yz. So yz is 5x minus 19. We're going to write the mid-segment equals the two bases added together and then divided by 2. So again, reversing the process, multiply times 2. So this will be multiplied times 2. The division of 2 cancels with the multiplication. You're left with this expression. These are like terms. So you're going to have x plus 52 equals, multiply these 2, and you get 10x minus 38. This is you solving for x, so you're going to subtract an x, add 38. So you get 9x equals 90. Therefore, x equals 10. Now, it's not asking you for x, it's asking you for yz. So you're going to substitute a 10 in there for x. And then you have 5 times 10, which is 50, and 50 minus 19, which will result in 31. So yz equals 31. All right, this next 2 problems, same thing. And you have the mid segment, and then you have the 2 bases. So 25 equals 2x plus 11 plus 6x minus 1 divided by 2. And then you multiply times 2. So you have 50 equals, this is gone, combine like terms. So 2 plus 6 is 8x. 11 minus 1 is 10. And then you subtract 10. So 40 equals 8x, which results in x equals 5. and it's asking you to find KJ. KJ would be the bottom base. So that means we're going to just substitute that 5 in there. 6 times 5 is 30. 30 minus 1, and that will be 29. Okay, I'll let you pause the video and try the last one. The last one is just following the same examples. Write it down with your formula of mid-segment equals 2 bases added divided by 2. Multiply times 2, and then solve for x. It's asking for UV, so you just substitute the x in there. So the x value, pause the video if you haven't done it yet. Alright, so the x value that you should have gotten was 2. And then that results on being 13 for the mid-segment. Alright, I hope this video helped you understand trapezoid relationships.